We switch talking about the races out there, talk about the Texas legislature right now. And joining me is Representative Drew Darby, represents District 72 down in San Angelo. Mr. Darby, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great this morning, Chad.
Well, appreciate you coming on the program. Before we start talking a lot about the Texas legislature, you had a piece over the weekend, I believe, that was in the San Angelo Standard Times, and you talked about the legislature and what they were able to do, and why the legislature deserves a little bit of credit, and when they've been coming under attack, it seems. Tell our listeners a little bit about your opinion on why leaders deserve the credit, and maybe why some aren't giving it to them.
Well, I think in everyone's estimation, we had a very successful session. The governor proclaimed, and the lieutenant governor both proclaimed after the session that this was one of the most conservative sessions ever. And the reality is we had a surplus because of the wonderful bounty of our oil and gas industry and high employment. Lots of jobs being created in Texas. Lots of people moving to Texas. I've been in January with a session starting when we had a $27 billion shortfall in the budget, and this session, however, we had a $14 billion surplus, mostly because of the expanding economy and the oil and gas business. And so we began the session with some priorities. We wanted to fix transportation, and so one of the ballot initiatives on the November just past November was that we're going to dedicate part of our sales tax and our motor vehicle sales tax to help fix transportation needs throughout the state of Texas. That on top of the previous session where we dedicated some severance taxes, instead of going into the rainy day fund, they went into transportation. So I think the idea was let's try to fix transportation, and that was first and foremost what we did. The second thing, we wanted to fund the growth in our schools, and we did that. And we not only did we fund about $2.5 billion for growth in our schools, but we also funded another $1.5 billion for public education. Another thing we wanted to do is continue to try to support higher education. And I know the folks up at Lubbock are very supportive of Texas Tech University, as I am, and Angelo State University, which is a part of the Texas Tech system. And so we want to make sure that we met our commitment to higher education, and so kiddos could afford to go to college and not come out with a mountain of debt. So I think we did that. Another thing we wanted to do was plug up our teacher retirement health care system. And in the supplemental budget, we put about $700 million into that. And then, of course, we want to give some tax relief. This was a session an opportunity that we did a couple of things. Number one, we decreased the margins tax by some 25%. And we also, with the benefit of folks in your listening audience, approved a $10,000 additional homestead exemption. Now, it doesn't relate to a lot of money to the individual homeowners, but I think it sends a message that the legislature is concerned about high property taxes. Of course, the legislature doesn't collect any. The state does not collect any property taxes, so by giving an additional $10,000 exemption, that means that the state has to make up to our public schools that lost revenue, and that amounts to about $1 billion. All of those fixes over the years has resulted in about $10 billion that the state has to make up to our schools under our school finance formula. And so that property tax relief plus reducing the margins tax, and I was able to, in House Bill 7, continue our effort to look at our general revenue dedicated accounts. And if we collect a fee or a tax for a specific purpose, whether it be to fund our clean air program or heck, to fund our railroad commission or any other state function, we want to make sure that those fees or taxes go to that purpose and not for some other purpose. And we've continued the trend of reducing those and over the years, and we continued that to the tune of about another $1 billion. So I think we did a lot of great things with regard to our budget.
Visiting with Representative Drew Darby, you've seen, obviously, we're in election season. We've got a big race up here in HD 84, but there are obviously a lot of campaigns going throughout the state. And one of the things that I keep hearing attacks on is leadership, the failure of leadership in the House. I see other attacks, failure on leadership when it comes to the border. How do you answer those charges, I guess, when they come up?
Well, I am just quite frankly shocked that someone would have the gall to accuse this legislature of not trying to address our border security needs. We put over $850 million in to secure the border. I mean, that is by far we increased our commitment from around $200 million to $850 million. And keep in mind, this is all money coming out of the taxpayers of the state of Texas to provide security and resources to protect our border, and that is a job of the federal government. But irrespective of that, the federal government has not done their job, so the state, through the leadership of this state, decided we're going to do it. And so we committed those resources. We are hiring over 250 new DPS officers. We've bought planes and helicopters and boats and cars and vehicles. I mean, you name it. We have acquired those items in furtherance of protecting our border. This is a huge commitment on the part of the state of Texas to secure our border. And so, if somebody says we've not done enough, well, how much is enough? We have taken their tax dollars and devoted it for this purpose, and I think we did a great job of doing that, and everyone acknowledges our commitment to protect the border. So it's laughable. I can understand that it's a political season, and we get crazy sometimes, and the allegations fly. Some of them are bounded in some portion by truth, and others are sheer fabrications, and I characterize that as a sheer fabrication.
Visiting with Representative Drew Darby, and a couple more things before I let you go. This morning, it's really unique that San Angelo and Lubbock connected via Texas Tech, and obviously a lot of other items as well. I'm sure there's been a lot of work between you and Representative Frullo done on behalf of Texas Tech. What are some of those things that people can look at when it comes to Texas Tech and really Texas Tech staying strong out here in West Texas, because that's pretty important?
Oh, it's absolutely critical, and I will tell you that Representative Frullo is one of those voices in the Texas legislature that everyone respects. They respect his interest in Texas Tech, as I do, obviously. And keep in mind, there's only 19 of us that represent two-thirds of the land mass of the state of Texas west of I-35. That's 19 of us compared to 25 in Harris County alone. So John Frullo has risen to a position of leadership because of his hard work and his ability to get things done. He is obviously chairman of the House Insurance Committee, which is a very important committee, and he uses that position to influence others so that they too will support Texas Tech. Tuition revenue bonds, big on the plate of the legislature. John Frullo was instrumental in making sure that Texas Tech University and Angelo State University got money to build buildings that were much needed and had been denied for a number of years. He was very instrumental of that. He was very supportive of the budget to again bring higher dollars for research so that Texas Tech University can assume its status as a Tier 1 university. He also helped families in making sure that we had more resources going for tuition and so that their commitment would not be as great as a family. So John Frullo is part of the solution. He comes to Austin, he puts his rolls his sleeves up and he gets to work to find solutions, and that's a rare commodity in Austin.
Visiting with Representative Drew Darby. We're going to have to wrap up the interview, Representative, as we are about to head to break, but I want to have you on in the future to talk about energy and the energy resources that are out there, and of course the market the way it is right now. A lot of people concerned, so we hope to have you on pretty soon in the future.
I'd love to do that, Chad, and thank you and your listeners for having me on this morning.
Absolutely, anytime. That's State Representative Drew Darby, representing District 72. As always, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad.